Hey, and welcome. Today, we're tackling something I think is absolutely crucial in our world. How do we stop just collecting endless facts and actually start cultivating some real wisdom? Let's get into it. You know the feeling, right? You spend hours scrolling, reading articles, listening to podcasts. But then at the end of the day, you wonder how much of that actually stuck. If you ever feel like you're just drowning in information, but you're still thirsty for real wisdom, trust me, you are not alone. And the good news is there's a really powerful way to change that. So, what's at the heart of all this? Well, it really comes down to this big difference between just knowing the facts and really truly getting what those facts mean. It's the difference between just collecting a bunch of data points and actually connecting the dots to see the bigger picture. I mean, just think about it for a second. The amount of content we take in every single day is, well, it's kind of staggering. But here's the thing. Just consuming stuff isn't the same as actually understanding it. The real goal here isn't just to cram our heads full of information, right? It's to turn that information into something that's actually meaningful and useful in our lives. So, how do we build that bridge? Well, it comes down to two really important tools: summary and synthesis. And I'm telling you, understanding the difference between these two, that's the very first step to go from just knowing something to really deeply understanding it. Okay, let's break this down. A summary, that's all about the what. It just repeats the facts. It answers the question, what happened? Simple enough. But a synthesis, now that's where the magic happens. It's all about the so what. It's where you find the deeper meaning, you connect the info to a bigger idea, and you ask that crucial question, what does all of this mean? All right, so we've got the definitions down. Now let's have a little fun and put this to the test. I'm going to throw a few statements at you, and I want you to decide, is it a summary or is it a synthesis? You ready? Okay, first one's up. Quote, "The lion in the story was defeated because the mouse helped him escape. So, what do you think? Take a second." Summary or synthesis? If you said summary, you got it. That's right. It's just stating the plain facts of the story. It's telling us exactly what happened, but there's no deeper meaning there, right? Okay, round two. How about this one? The story reminds us that even small friends can have big impact. And this one? That's a synthesis. You see the difference, right? It's not just repeating the plot points. It's pulling out that deeper lesson. That so what? It's answering that bigger question. What does this story actually mean? Okay, let's try one more pair. Just keep this simple idea in your head. Just the facts versus the lesson. So check out these two statements. The first one says, Jesus calmed the storm while the disciples were afraid. That's a perfect summary. It's just laying out the events as they happened. But the second one, we can trust Jesus even when life feels out of control. Boom, that's the synthesis. It takes those facts from the story and pulls out a much bigger, broader truth that you can apply to your own life. And look, this is so much more than just some English class exercise. This skill, this ability to move from summary to synthesis, this is the actual pathway from just reading something to developing real, genuine wisdom. The source material we're looking at actually brings up a verse from Ecclesiastes to really drive this home. It says, "Now all has been heard." The idea is that just hearing the facts, that's only the starting point. The real journey, the important part, begins after you've heard it all. And that brings us to a really important question, one we should all ask ourselves. We can hear facts all day long, right? But what does it actually take to understand the truth behind them? Well, it means we have to stop, we have to reflect, and we have to actively search for that deeper meaning. In other words, it requires synthesis. The source shares this really beautiful thought. It says, we shouldn't just repeat what we read. We need to let it echo into our lives. I love that metaphor, an echo. It's so powerful, right? It means the idea has to really resonate inside of us, to bounce off our own experiences and come back to us with new meaning. And really, that's the ultimate goal here. Every single word, every story, every fact we encounter, it's a chance. It's an opportunity, not just to know more, but to live more wisely. And that, right there, is the incredible power of synthesis. Okay, so how do we make this really practical? Well, the source material gives us something like a formula for wisdom. It suggests that synthesis, that understanding, is kind of incomplete until you pair it with action. See, true wisdom isn't just about finding the lesson,
It's about living it. The source even connects this to a teaching from Matthew, chapter 7, where the idea is that action is like obedience to the truth that you've just uncovered. So this all leads to the bigger picture, the why behind all of this. This entire way of thinking about learning, it's actually rooted in a very specific educational philosophy, one that connects knowledge directly to a person's character. This approach is part of the HeroesMart educational philosophy, and it argues that you have to connect what you know with who you are. The core idea is pretty powerful, that education without morality can actually be damaging. So the ultimate goal isn't just to have a smart mind, but to use learning to build a wise and ultimately a peaceful one. And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Reading, listening, learning, that's just the starting line. The real change, the real transformation from just having information to having wisdom, that happens when we actually stop, reflect on what something means, and then go and apply that truth in our own lives. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. Just consider all the things you already know, all the facts, the stories, the data floating around in your head. What piece of knowledge in your life right now is just waiting for you to pause, to synthesize it, and to finally turn it into wisdom?